Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. We're going to carry on our series where we pick out 4 games that can now reach 60 frames per second on Switch 2 without any patches, and we're going to tell you about them.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done one of these videos, but there is a playlist on the channel if you want to have a look at what other games can now reach 60 on the Switch 2. But as Mark said, we've got 4 new ones for you today. What games are they? Well, let's find out.
Alright, let's begin then with Wavetale. So Wavetale was basically where you're almost ice skating on the surface of water. It was pretty linear. You moved between different areas. It had combat in it as well. Performance was alright. I think it was one of those games where, because it was uncapped and it was high enough, you weren't sat there thinking, my goodness, this is a shocker. But you also every now and then saw stutters and things in combat. And it was also not the longest game ever. It was about, I think 4 or 5 hours long. So finally getting it locked out at 60 on Switch 2 is a nice way to play it. Yeah, this is one of those games where it got revisited quite a lot in our all patched up series, which is one that I'm surprised more big channels don't do.
Yeah.
You know, they do their big review, like take a certain 3-letter named review channel,
right,
and then they leave it. And oftentimes they kill it on the first go. You know, if something launches badly, then maybe that's their fault. But I think in this day and age where you've got these higher ups pushing games out really quickly when the dev team are like, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
We've seen that a few times. I think giving them the chance to fix it up is, you know, I think it's a worthwhile thing to revisit, to be honest.
It kind of transcends across to other things like movies, for example.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a film, what's that, like the Zack Snyder Justice League, just as an example. That came out, didn't it? Joss Whedon finished it, then he came a few years later and released his cut, which was like 3-4 hours long.
Wow. And
was almost a different film to some extent, whether you liked it more or not. But the point is that things can change.
Yes.
And are worth a revisit sometimes.
We were having this chat the other day, actually, and you're about to have a sneak peek at FilmUp, the channel that doesn't exist. But we were saying, well, actually, Glen was saying, it would be really good if films had almost like you have this no man's land between film, let's say 2-3 hours long, series, which can be 10 to 15 hours of episodes.
Yeah.
There's almost a space for an extra long film.
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem with the way it's done is that you have a film come out and people will watch it and they'll say, this should have been a series. You know, there's so much more they could have done with this if they hadn't had to cram it into a film. But then the series comes out, of course, or a series comes out, and they don't know when to stop. Yeah. Because it makes money. So then they make story that's not there. So you end up with something that's equally as bad, but for a different reason. And I think personally, I'm not sure it's doable, I don't know, but you could make a film, a theatrical run, but then you could have the director's cut become standard. Yeah. You know, and they could release that whenever. That is that bit longer, 3-4 hours long, and tells a full story without it becoming a series and being, you know, like drained for all it's worth. Yeah. I think that would be a great idea, but yeah, who am I to say how much money that would cost and whatnot, you know? I think it would be really nice. I think it would be a good, especially imagine I mean, some people are going to cry here, but for me, a 5-hour long Blade Runner. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's I just think it would be a way to bridge that gap where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place otherwise, aren't you? Yeah, you really are. Another game that can hit 60, and that's the huge caveat here, it can hit 60, is Deadly Premonition 2. We looked at this in an independent video. At the time it released, it was heralded as one of the worst games on Switch. Its performance was quite literally shocking, wasn't it? 10 frames per second. It was running at single digits at times. It was terrible. On the Switch 2, in inside areas it can run at 60, quite flawlessly to be fair. Yeah. In the open world sections it kind of meanders towards mid-40s, bit of fluctuation there. It's much more playable now. Whether it's a good game or not now it is playable is open to debate. I'm actually playing through this at the minute. Oh yeah. And I loved the first game, and that had some major flaws, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed it. But the biggest problem I have with this one, which is something that was evident in the first game, but for some reason it feels worse in this one, is the time of day mechanic. So things play out in real time. Oh, really? And you'll be given a mission objective, which is go to this place and do this. And you can only do it between 6 AM and 8 AM. Oh. And if you miss it by just a second, you've got to then wait for the whole day, or you have to go to sleep for the whole day, and that costs you money, and time moves so slowly. And I know it's been done in plenty of games. It was done in the first one, but it's handled so badly here. Right. It kills the pacing. Oh, really? It kills it. And it's, yeah. So aside from the performance issues, it's a shame that I don't know, they got this one so badly wrong, considering how many people loved the jankiness of that first game.
I'm thinking about that mechanic now. You've got me thinking about Shenmue. Remember the original Shenmue?
Yeah.
That was the first. That was on the Dreamcast, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I remember playing it, and I remember doing exactly that. Go into somewhere and it was closed, and being like, I was so confused.
Yeah.
But there is a weird appeal to it when it's done right.
If it's done right, it's great because it feels like a real world.
Yeah.
And if you can go and lose yourself in the day somewhere else, that's fine. But this is so empty and barren.
It really is.
There's nothing to do, and you just have to keep sleeping. And like I say, it costs you money if you're sleeping during the day, and it's just so odd that they give you a skateboard instead of a car. Like, what were they thinking?
So yeah, go play that one in 60 frames per second in certain areas.
I'm playing it, so but
at that speed, you might make it down to the shops in time.
Exactly.
XCOM 2 is another we did a full video for, so you can go check that out like you can with Deadly Premonitions. Deadly Premonition or Premonitions?
No S.
No S, don't need it. No, thanks very much. But XCOM 2, I didn't realise this was running so well. It can hit 60 nicely. The visual looks crisper. It does have a memory leak, so that every now and then, it starts to run slowly. You need to restart the game. That's where we really need to see more of these dev kits, isn't it?
Yeah, it is absolutely that, because it's all very well and good hitting it. Mm-hmm. But if there are issues such as that are going to hinder your enjoyment, then you're still stuck in the same boat, aren't you?
You really are. Now, here's a thing for you. So obviously I've been banging on about these dev kits for a while, but we've just had, I don't know if this is quite significant really, the Star Wars Outlaws game that just came out is the first one to use current gen ray tracing.
Right.
So it's like a lighting technique where it looks real, in air quotes, the light is doing realistic things. Now, funnily enough, Digital Foundry said that, there's basically the Switch 2 wouldn't be able to do that. And we were talking actually in the interim between this being released, how it was a bit worrying. It was looking like we were going to get nerfed versions, basically, of everything. But this should mean, with a lot of those modern games, we can get proper versions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, we made a video on this. I don't know whether it's released yet or not, where we just spoke about the Switch 2 in general a few months on. I don't think Nintendo have done themselves any favours by making these dev kits so scarce. Yeah. Because obviously these teams are doing the best with what they can in terms of the resources they have, not in terms of their end, but in terms of testing it out. Yeah. And it's meant a few inferior products.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Which is only going to hurt Nintendo in the long run. It's a very strange decision.
It really is. I wonder if they will suddenly release a bunch of kits and we will see a huge influx of like free patches and stuff like that.
Yeah, quite possibly.
XCOM 2 though, 60 frames per second, it is a much nicer way of playing it, whether you are docked or handheld.
New Star GP is the final one for this video, and this is a racing sim / arcade game. It's a nice hybrid of the two, almost very much in the style of like virtual racing from back in the day. Yeah, has that sort of polygonal style to it as well. And on the Switch, the original Switch, it ran from anywhere between, I would say, maybe 45 to 60. Yeah, if again it fluctuated. It wasn't
a slouch, was it?
It wasn't. No, it was fine unless you were comparing it to another version. Yeah, and that's when you noticed it. So to hear this one now runs at 60 is really pleasing because it's a very good game. Has like a story mode in it as well, like a career mode. And I really enjoyed this, and it was just that performance that knocked it down a bit. So if it's one you were interested in, perhaps put off hearing that, then to hear it, as I said, it now runs at 60 is, it's good news.
I think it's one of those where even if you just like racing games, but you're not a fan of something like Formula 1, you actually find a lot here. It's a very fun game, isn't it?
Yeah, having that kind of line between simulation and arcade does it some favours because, I don't mind racing simulators, but when it comes to Formula 1 simulators, there's so much you need to know, in my opinion. It can make it hard to jump in if you're not a fan. Arcade games are just, they do what they say on the tin, so to have something that kind of right in between was nice.
So that's it. That's another episode. Let us know in the comments games you've been playing that run at 60 because it's helpful, and we'll add those into a future episode.
Absolutely. Do check out the previous episodes in this series. As I said, there is a playlist for them. Don't forget you can get yourself some eShop credit on our website, switchup.gg. You'll get yourself 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.